Hello there and welcome to the second edition of the La Liga show. Hope everyone is having a splendid day. It is the Thursday as of recording, the 19th of October. And when this goes out, it'll be the 20th of October. Let's kick things off with the Primera Federación as we go into match day number 8 in the season. Going into this match day in Grupo Uno, that is Group 1, we have Gymnastic in the top of the table. Gymnastic going into a awesome opening a few games in their season. They are top of the table, followed by Ponferradina, who were relegated last season from the Spanish the Spanish Championship, Spanish Segunda División, which would be a bit unfortunate. I believe they are the favourites to be promoted back into the Spanish Segunda from this group. But Gymnastic, depending on where you are from, the Spanish like to call them Gymnastic, are currently top of the table in first position. In third spot, we have Real Unión, which they are also having an awesome start to the season. Real Unión sits in third position. That is, they have had one loss. They have 2 losses and 3 wins. Real Unión. The first, coming in fourth, is currently in fourth is the Celta Vigo dos, the first B team of the bunch. They haven't lost a game yet. They're currently undefeated, but they have had draw. Sorry, they are defeated, but they haven't lost in their last 5. Every team in this league has lost. In ninth, there's a bit of a disappointing start for Lugo. Currently, they have had a bit of a slow start so far. They are on 12 points with 8 matches played. So we're going into the 9th match. I'll correct myself for earlier. Fuenlabrada is in 12th. They were once in La Liga B, La Liga Segunda División, which is the Spanish Championships. They are sitting in 12th right now. Going into the bottom 3, we've got Sabadell, Deportivo La Coruña, who won La Liga a few years back in the year 2000 to 2001, if you can remember that far back, are currently sitting in the 16th position. Turel is sitting in 18th position. Setao is sitting in 19th position, and Tarazona is sitting in 20th position to make up the 20. In Grupo Dos, that is the southern group, we have Castellón, who isn't actually in Castellón, they are in Valencia, are currently sitting in first position with 22 points, only 2 draws from maximum points. Ibiza sits in second, one of the teams that was relegated last season. They sit in second. They're one of the team's favourites to get promoted this season. Malaga, who was a Champions League side all the way back in the year 2013, sits in third position. They have also only lost one of their games. They lost to Castellón, who sits in first position. Algeciras, one of Malaga's rivals, sits in fourth position. They have also only lost one game this season, and they are sitting in fourth position with 15 points. It looks so much closer in the Grupo Dos compared to the Grupo Uno. Córdoba sits in 8th, Real Murcia sits in 9th. Intercity, the team that drew against Barcelona last season, sits in 10th going into the match day 9. Looking at the bottom 5, 6, then we have Merdia AD, Atlético Deportivo Merdia sitting in 16th position. Alcoyano sitting in 17th position. Granada B, who have also had a little bit of a struggle this season, are currently sitting in 18th position. They only have 6 points, that is 2 wins. A 1 win and 3 draws they have. They did lose to Malaga in their derby 3-0 a few weeks back. Melilla, who played Malaga last week, sits in 19th position as they did lose that game 1-0. And at the bottom of the pack is Atlético Baleares, the team from the Balearic Islands, who is only on 1 point from that draw at the very beginning of the season. And that is the Primera Federación out of the way. Looking at the Spanish Segunda División, the Spanish La Liga dos, at the top of the table is recently relegated Espanyol de Barcelona, Espanyol de Catalunya, rather, who are sitting in first position with 11 matches played. They have lost 2 of their games, they've drawn 2 of the games, and they've won 7 of their games. That's a great start for them, and it's a great way to get back into this La Liga, this very almighty league that everyone all desperately wants to get into. In second place is also a former La Liga team. We got Leganes, who is sitting in second position. They are 1 point behind Espanyol currently in the league, sitting on 22 points. Levante is tied on points, but behind on goal difference, sitting in third position. Tenerife sits in fourth currently. This is a very comfortable start for the top 5. But Zaragoza was top for the first 3 games of the season. They do slip down into fifth. Eibar, who was in a promotion playoff spot last season, and unfortunately lost out into the team that was promoted in. I will remind myself who they were when I look at La Liga. Eibar sits in 6th. It wasn't Granada. It was Valladolid sits in 7th. They were also a team that was relegated last season. They sit in 7th. They also are very, very close and tight up for the top 7, top 8 teams are really, really tight so far. We've played only 11 games, so still early days. Newly promoted Racing Ferrol, who have Marbella in the Copa del Rey, sits in 11th position. Yes, we did have the Copa del Rey draw as well. You can find out all the Copa del Rey information if you follow these local teams, if you follow them on Instagram. They all made sure to update and tell everyone who they were playing. Anyways, Oviedo, who had a really good season last season, is sitting in 13th position. They have 13 points. They have lost 4, drawn 4, and won 3. That's pretty decent for Oviedo. Villarreal B is the only B team in the bunch of the La Liga dos teams. Sits in 14th. The only team that's not in Spain, who is Andorra, of course, in this league system, sits in 15th with 13 points. Elche, the team that was doomed last season from the very start of La Liga, they sit in 16th with a very, very disappointing start to the season, as they've only picked up 13 points at the beginning, and they sit in 16th behind Andorra. They are level on points, but behind on goal difference. They have a -5 goal difference compared to Andorra's -4. Eldense, a team that was promoted last season from the Primera Federación, sits in 17th. Mirandes sits in 18th, and the bottom 4, the 4 teams that in the relegation fight, the relegation zone currently, is Cartagena, who sits in last position with 5 points. They were in the Segunda last season as well, so this is a bit of a worry for Cartagena going into the 12th game of the season with only 5 points on their belt. Huesca sits in 21st, which is, again, like Cartagena, might need to start picking up the points quite quickly, otherwise you're going to lose out, you're going to miss out on some silly points. Alcorcón was a team that was promoted last season, and so was Amorebieta. These 2 teams were promoted last season. So yes, it's like the English leagues. You tend to see the same 4 or 5 teams going up and down every season, and the same 4 and 5 teams going back down the next season. It's a tiny bit like that. Occasionally you have the occasional blip where one of the teams, like Malaga last year, where they will just vanish out of the league systems. We did see it with Deportivo La Coruña, we did see it with Numancia a few years back, who are not even in the Primera Federación anymore. They're in the Segunda Federación, which is the league below the Primera Federación. But anyways, that is La Liga B, or La Liga Dos, out of the way. It looks rather good. I think this one is better than La Liga this season. For one reason, they have probably 4 of the previous best teams in that were once amazing teams in La Liga, now in Segunda. That's Espanyol, Leganes, Levante, and Real Zaragoza. We also have Eibar, who was once a small mini giant in La Liga. Sporting Gijon was also a little big team in there. Of course, you have Elche, who was also a relatively big team a few years back. Anyways, let's take a look at La Liga coming up right now in just a second. Right now, we have Real Madrid, top of the table, of course. They've played 9 and only lost 1, and the rest of the games they've won. They, of course, beat Kironia, who sits in second, who had that amazing takeover during the summer, as they are in second position with 9 played, with 7 wins and only 1 defeat. That defeat did come to Real Madrid, as mentioned. Barcelona sits in third. Barcelona is the former champions of this league. They won the league last season after about a 4-year dry patch. They sit in third right now, only 1 point behind Girona, 3 behind Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid sits in fourth. That's a normal and decent start for them. They have 19 points on their tally right now. Atletico Club Bilbao sits in fifth position. They've had a very, very sturdy and nice start, unlike last season, where they had a bit of a squabble in the bottom 50, the bottom 5 teams, the lowest 5 teams in the league. Real Sociedad sits in 6th. Real Betis, who had a very nice season last season, currently in 7th. They had a bit of a slow start. They drew against Granada a few weeks back. They did beat Valencia 3-0 as well a few weeks back. Real Vallecano sits in 8th. Valencia sits in 9th. Las Palmas sits in 10th. Getafe 11th. Osasuna 12th. Cadiz 13th, Sevilla 14th. Sevilla is having a bit of an season phase, if you know what I mean. Sevilla had a bit of a struggle last season at the start of the season, as they, the fun fact, Sevilla is only in the Champions League because of how well they performed in the Europa League last season, as they won the Europa League last season. That's why they're in the Champions League. Because if they wouldn't have beaten the Roma in the Europa League final, they wouldn't actually be in the Champions League this season. So yes, technically, by pure coincidence, they didn't do well enough last season in the league to actually qualify for the Champions League automatically. They had to work for it. In terms of they had to win the final, like West Ham did it in the Premier League for the Europa League. Anyways, in 15th is Mallorca. They've had an alright start. They've played 9 like everybody else. They've only won 1 game though. They need to start picking up those winning points, those 3 points. That will have an impact on their goal difference as well. If you don't win games, you don't get a bonus on your goal difference, which means you won't impact your goal difference. So if someone ends on a higher, if you end on the same points, for instance, currently Osasuna sitting in 12th position, if they both finish on, let's say, 49 points at the end of the season, for instance, they're both safe, so don't worry there. I'm not putting you guys in a relegation struggle there. If they both end on 49 points, but Cadiz drew most of their games and lost a few, they will have normally the team that drew more has like a lower goal difference, if you know what I mean. They will have -10, -11, -12 goal difference. Whereas Osasuna, who might have won more of their games and gained more of their points through winning, but they lost, they would normally have higher goal difference. This depends, because sometimes you win every game 1-0, 2-0, and then you lose games 4-5-0. That where you do have the odd occasion where that happens, but it's very, very rare in top league football. That could happen. Anyways, Mallorca 15th. Sorry, I do apologise. Sevilla is above Mallorca, not Osasuna. Osasuna is above Cadiz. I'm looking at the wrong place. Villarreal sits behind Mallorca. Villarreal, who won the Europa League against Manchester United a few years back on penalties, sits in 16th position in the league. A very, very, very struggling start for them. They've only won 2 of their games. It's a little bit better stat for them than Mallorca, but they've lost more of their games. They lost 5. They lost the derby against Valencia. So, it's something they need to think about. They need to think about their attacking form. I've been looking at the defence. If you look at Valencia in the past, they... I do apologise about that. There was a spider on my screen. If you look at Villarreal in the past, they play really attacking in the first half. If you watch that Villarreal game against Liverpool a few years back, they go all out attacking in the first half. They'll score 2 goals, they'll score 3 goals, and that'll be it. They'll drop off, they'll stop, they'll give in, they'll pack up their bags and they'll go home, and that'll be it. Then they'll draw 2-2 or 3-3, or even lose the game if they get unlucky in defence. So they do that very tactical thing where they play attacking in the first half, they score 2 goals, and then they drop dead, they go defensive, and that's it. That's the end of the game. And you won't see a Villarreal goal unless you're very lucky. Alaves sits in 17th. That's the team that was promoted in that stopped Eibar from being promoted last season. I do remember now. Celta Vigo 18th. Celta Vigo, I'm surprised, are still in this league after the few seasons they've had in the past. They finished 17th and 16th in the past few seasons. I would like to consider them or compare them to Everton, as everyone in the English leagues know that Everton is how on earth are you still here team, as Celta Vigo is in La Liga. Celta Vigo always finish 17th, always seem to end up now, not 10 years ago, they were a very, very strong side 10 years ago, but now they always end up to seem to be in the relegation battle, but always seem to come out on top. They do leave at very last minute, Celta Vigo, but sometimes playing on the line like that isn't very good. Granada and Almeria finish the table in 19th and 20th. Granada took Barcelona by surprise a few weeks back. I'm mentioning a few weeks back because we just came out of an international break, if you're watching this on the 20th of October. They took Barcelona by surprise and scored the fastest goal in the league so far, and I don't think anyone will beat it, which is 16 seconds. And they managed to pull off a 2-2 draw against the Rojo Azules de España, the king of Catalonia, the Los Reyes de Catalunya, Barcelona, that is, of course. So they have sort of found their feet a little bit, but again, they are a promoted side. They are still trying to find their feet in this league. Again, they have been here before, and it hasn't ended well before. The last time they were here, it was against. The last time they were here, they were relegated last season. It was against Cadiz. It was at their home stadium, and all the number 9 needed to do was score a penalty, and they would have saved. They would have been survived. They would have survived. I do apologise. They would have survived, but he missed the penalty, and Granada was relegated. I'm currently sitting at the bottom of the pack, but still able to catch up with only 3 draws on their belt is Almeria. And yes, Luis Suarez, not the official Uruguayan Luis Suarez, but the number 9 who plays for Almeria, who is called Luis Suarez, of course, is their top scorer. So anyways, thank you for watching this update on La Liga. Hope everyone enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like down below. If you haven't already, subscribe, and if you would like to, you can leave a comment and I will do a review on a football team of your choosing. And until San Marino wins again, see you next time. Goodbye.